It turns out Marvel Studios was pretty much, I guess, agreeing with everybody when it comes to the content control, the amount of content that they put out, and, well, the end result of everything. So let's talk about how quality suffered at Marvel Studios during the last 5 years and them admitting it. Okay, so continuing our trek to dive into the Wall Street Journal and their extensive report on Marvel Studios. As somebody who's read the entire report and trying to break everything down, as I said with the previous video about Marvel Studios going through a massive overhaul with Phase 4 and 5 not delivering, this is a continuation of that where I'm looking at the rest of the article. And trust me, there's a lot more to come from this because we got to break it down piece by piece and really get into it. In this one, we're talking about how Marvel Studios, and specifically Kevin Feige, has admitted failure with Disney Plus and the quality control. And what does this mean for the future of Marvel Studios on Disney Plus? So this is the quote I want to start with, and the site, the Wall Street Journal said, and I quote, Kevin Feige recently told colleagues he agreed to the plan because of zealousness, to tell more stories and a desire to be an excellent corporate citizen. It turned out to be a mistake, end quote. Okay, so let's get into this. So this story is going to get a little bit more insane because there's something more that's stated here that's absolutely nuts, but we'll talk about that once I cover what we just talked about with this quote. So, in essence, what happened was, and this is important, Bob Chapek, the man in charge of Disney, once Bob Iger left, he was the one that decided Disney Plus were all in on it. Everybody start pumping out endless content. Money is no budget. We have infinite growth because that's capitalism. We're going to see infinite growth. We're going to see 125 million subscribers in 5 years, 300 million in 10. And well, that's not possible. Things don't work like that. So they overspent, and the end result was not getting back as much as they thought that they would get. Because believe it or not, streaming doesn't offer advertising. Therefore, you're losing money. And on the advertising tiers, they lose members. So it's really a nobody wins scenario. So when we look at what's going on, and it says Kevin Feige recently told colleagues that he agreed to the plans because he was so ambitious, that makes sense. They came to him and said, hey Kevin, you're doing 2 films a year. 3 on a good year where Sony's playing ball. How about you do 2 to 3 films a year still, but we're going to give you the avenue where you can tell long-form stories in the MCU with these same characters on Disney Plus, and you can do 3 to 4 shows a year. Automatically, Kevin's going, I think I can do it. But then, outside factors like a pandemic, global work conditions, and global conditions in general all affect it. And to make matters worse, he spread too thin. So the stories and everything suffers. And as it says, he did this because he wanted to be a good corporate worker. You're not going to tell the new CEO of Disney who comes in and he's like, hey, I want you to make 7 projects a year, 8 projects, 10 projects in some cases. You're not going to say no. Because what he's going to do is going to go, oh, so you're not going to listen to your new boss? Okay, well, we can replace you. So Kevin fell in line. But this is where things are going to get crazier because Kevin ended up scrapping weeks and months of work at some point, and people would have to chase him down in hallways to get him to even look at what their projects are and what they're doing. So this is what the rest of the piece says. Some executives struggled to connect with Feige about what they were working on and what they did. Several weeks and months of work could be thrown out once he weighed in. A few staffers even resorted to chasing him down Marvel Studios' hallways. And Thunderbolts is an example of movie producers in the post-quantity era, hence the glowing reviews. Feige also has an eye on the future, as he's reportedly told colleagues multiple plans are being put in place. Okay, so let's backtrack a bit. So, Kevin Feige had so much work that people were told, okay, go work on this part of the series or this movie, and I'm going to be over here shooting the next thing because I got to get everywhere to make sure things are going good. They spend weeks or months working on something. He comes back and goes, well, we actually had to adjust on this project, so this is no longer a factor. Therefore, you got to abandon everything we're doing here and everything you've done and pivot to match up with this. And then the third project, he'd go to and be like, okay, you guys got to adjust slightly, but not too bad. But it turns out that what they were working for doesn't confine to their new goals, because they might have been working on something Kang related or Ironheart, doing completely different things. Hence why, okay, you got to go back to reshoots. Secret Invasion, you got to go back for massive reshoots. We're going to pivot this. Hey, project number 2 that was just at, course correct. Keep half of what you've done, but fix half. And it became too much. And essentially, they were lost, it's a problem, right? Like, the Wall Street Journal is simply explaining what happened, and that's too many cooks in one kitchen, and Kevin Feige was the only cook. So you had Kevin Feige trying to cook 12 meals a year, right? 12 great meals, but it doesn't work that way, So he had to get a bunch of extra cooks and be like, okay, we got to cook all these meals, but make sure that no meal is the same, and also make sure you're talking with everybody. And then he goes and tastes one meal and says, this one has too much salt. Goes to the next one, says, this one doesn't have enough salt. Maybe it already did, but he's got a little taste of the previous meal, right? So things had to change on the fly, and they couldn't control it. Throwing out months of work in some instances is going to cause what happened. You look at Multiverse of Madness. The entire third act was changed 2 months out from the film coming out. It was just a disaster, and it shows in the end result. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.